Why, hello, and thank you for choosing the Vegan Luna podcast. If you came here to listen to influencers, business owners, people that are really making a change in this world and really creating some amazing ideas and amazing inventions, then you came to the right show. This show showcases some of the top people in the world that are making an impact, whether it's the environment, whether it's for health, or whether it's for the animals. This podcast is also available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Purium, for providing some of the best organic superfoods that you could find on the market, as well as Vegan Nation, who is the first ever company to create a cruelty-free currency. Please go take a look at those. I cannot express this enough. All right, hello and welcome to the Vegan Luna podcast. We're here in a very special place, the very first time for me to record live on an animal sanctuary. So it's an incredible thing. It's so beautiful out here. It's so peaceful. The air smells fresh. I mean, besides the farm animals, it still smells really fresh. For sure. We have the goats in the background. We have the pigs right in front of us. We have the cows in the distance. So tell us a little bit about where we are and where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, so we're at Farm Animal Refuge. We're a farm animal sanctuary. We're located in Campo, California, which is about an hour east of San Diego.
Excellent. And so what kind of animals do we have here?
We have a whole bunch of animals. So right now we have cows, pigs, sheep, we have goats, turkeys, roosters, and we have dogs and cats as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So what are they all doing here? What's a place like pigs and sheeps and goats and cows, like what are they doing here? What's the biggest reason for them being here?
Yeah, so at Farm Animal Refuge was set up mainly to bring visitors out and learn about the animals. You can learn about how they have different personalities, that they're actually clean, they're really intelligent, and they're all very unique because a lot of people have never actually met these animals in real life. They've only seen them on TV or they see them in the store in these little packages, but they've actually never interacted with one and realized how close to cats and dogs they actually are, how they're all very unique, they're very sensitive, and all of them have their own personalities.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us some stories about how did they end up here and where did they come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we have a mid-70s animals. They all come from different kind of backgrounds. So they all are liberated from the agricultural industry in different kinds of ways. They're all surrendered and everybody knows that we're getting them. None of them are stolen or taken or anything like that. And so we have a lot of potbelly pigs. Some were actually owner relinquished. So they were not really in the industry, but they were beloved pets that got too big. And then we have some large pigs that are right behind us right here, and they were either from a backyard butcher or one of them was at an area where they raise pigs with kids. They raise the piglets, and then after the kids go home, they actually slaughter the pigs there and sell them to make money for that particular program. So we were able to liberate him from there. And then we have quite a few that actually came from the FFA 4-H program, which is Future Farmers of America, and it's a program set up in schools and private where they raise animals throughout the year. They show them at the state fairs like the San Diego fair that we have here locally, and everyone gets to interact with them and play with them, and then after the fair ends they're actually all sent off to slaughter. So a lot of the kids actually really bond with these animals and fall in love with them, and when it comes time and towards the end they don't want to send them off to slaughter. So we have a few of those that are mainly right behind us from that program as well.
It's so interesting how powerful it could be when you meet these animals in person, when it isn't just bacon, it's an individual. It's not a hamburger, it's a cow. It's not a chicken sandwich, it's a live chicken.
Absolutely.
What is it about meeting these animals in person that leads people to not want to eat them, like you said?
Yeah, like I was saying before, a lot of people just have never really met them. So they have this perceived idea about these animals being dirty or these animals being stupid. And really, it couldn't be more of the opposite. They're really exactly just like the animals we invite and love into our homes. They just look a little bit different and they're actually treated different. So the times people have interacted with them, they're either terrified or scared or not at a loving home. So when you bring them in and you show them compassion, you show them love, and you treat them as individuals, it really brings out their individual personality. So when you come out here and you touch them and you hug a cow and you just give the pigs a belly rub and they flop over and you really make that connection to them, it could really change your perception about what you're putting into your body and you're buying at the store afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us maybe a story? I saw that there was there was a little baby goat, Freddie.
Yeah.
And Freddie had been in, had some issues, and I feel like it was really touching for a lot of people. Can you share maybe an impactful story that an animal maybe had a really challenging time, and you helped save them and brought them into a better life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have Fred. He's paralyzed on his back legs. He was an owner relinquished as well. They had a pet that they didn't know was pregnant. That pet gave birth, and he got injured a little bit after birth. But we have another one that we learned everything for Fred about the wheelchair training and the different kind of physical therapies, because we actually have another goat named Tucker. So Tucker was dropped off at our front gate without us even knowing about it. Somebody just showed up one day with him in a box, handed him to us, and we accepted him because that's the right thing to do. And when we were given physical examinations, we actually figured out he couldn't even stand. He couldn't walk. He couldn't support himself. He couldn't do any of that. So being farm animals, we take them to a farm animal vet because that's pretty much our only option. And their main recommendation was actually just to put him down right there. Yeah. And of course, we wanted to give him every chance possible and do everything we could for him. So we brought him home. We started the physical therapy. We did wheelchair training with him. We did different kinds of walking and muscle generation kind of physical therapy, and now he's up and walking, and he's almost pretty much a normal goat. He has some stability issues, but he wasn't as seen as an individual like most of them. The recommendation was to put him down and just a little bit of work, a little bit of chance, and he is happy, healthy, and thriving.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you tell us about a story of maybe some of the victims of the industry? Do you have any stories of those ones that have been living within the industry, whether it's the meat industry or the dairy industry or the egg industry? Have you experienced any animals like that on your farm, and how they made a turnaround from maybe their behavior before and how they were scared, and fearful and timid, and how they made a turnaround?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially our birds. They've all come out of the big agricultural industry. The chickens that we have are battery caged hens. So if you don't know, the hens are kept in tiny cages, and they're used for their egg production for about 2 years. After 2 years, their egg production slows down, and they're sent off to slaughter just like all the other chickens in the world. And so we actually were able to liberate 24 of them from that industry. So we brought them here. They were missing a lot of feathers. They were really malnourished, really skinny, and they were actually terrified of us. So they would run inside their coops. They would be panting because they would be so stressed out about just of our presence. And now when we walk in there, it's been a couple years, and I mean, this happened pretty quickly. Once we showed them some compassion, they would come running up. They start pecking at our shoes, looking for treats, because they know we only provide really positive stuff for them, and they actually can make a complete turnaround. I would say the same thing with our turkeys. Our turkeys, we received straight out of a slaughterhouse. We got 100 of them released to the DXC, Direct Action Everywhere. As an act of compassion, the slaughterhouse released 100 to the group, and we were there to help transport some of them to California. We dropped off a couple at different rescues along the way, and we have 3 of them here. And the same thing, they were terrified, they were mutilated, their beaks were cut really short, their toes were actually cut off like the standard industry practices, and they were really terrified. And now they are the sassiest little birds you'll ever meet in your entire life. They were really, really fun. They all have really different personalities, which we're able to shine through. One of them's really bossy, one of them's really sweet, one of them's right in the middle, and it really just shows that if you treat them in a certain way, they will act in a different way than the fear and the neglect that they had before they got here.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about you. Who are we talking to? You get this guy with all these puzzle tattoos.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
So my name is Matt, obviously. I'm co-founder of Farm Animal Refuge. We started here about 3.5 years ago. I run this with a woman named Jordan Russo. Me and her have been best friends for a really long time. We lived together for about 9 years before we moved to this property and started doing this. My background is I grew up in San Diego. I was raised on meat and potatoes, just like any standard American. Didn't really think anything of it. As I got older and met Jordan, and she was a vegetarian, and kind of talked to me a little bit about the industry, and I went vegan a little bit after we moved in because I started learning, but my biggest reason was because of the environment. And so that's kind of how I started this whole journey. And then about 3 years ago, we decided, after visiting some other farm sanctuaries and realizing the impact that you have when you meet an animal and how it can change people's perceptions pretty quickly, that we decided we needed something a little bit closer than LA, because most of them are up in LA, and you can get vegetarians up there and they'll go vegan, and you can have vegans up there to reinforce, but it's really hard to get people that still consume animal products all the way up there. So we wanted to do something a little bit closer and decided that we are going to get this property. We were really hard workers, that no one else better to do it than us. So we decided to open Farm Animal Refuge.
Wow, that's so amazing. So take me back a little bit, to the time where you were contemplating leaving these animals off your plate. You were contemplating, the cruelty. You were contemplating the environment, or maybe even your health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, take me back to that time where you're like, you know what? I'm going to make the decision to, like, just leave animals off my plate for good and actually go vegan. Tell me about that.
So it was about a little over 10 years ago. And like I just said, I started for the environmental kind of impacts. It's really easy to ignore all the facts. The industry makes it really easy to ignore what's actually happening all around us. But when the information that I discovered about the environment started coming out, it really impacted me and my personal choices that I was having on climate change and global warming and everything like that. So I also knew that it was obviously a healthier lifestyle, because the way I grew up was really fast food. It was Mexican restaurants and taco shops and just really greasy, dirty stuff. And
same.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's just classic. Never
3
really
times
think
a day.
about it. I mean, I worked at Burger King 3.5 years. I ate it every single day.
I worked at Carl's Jr.
There you go. Yeah, you know how it is.
I know what it's
yeah,
like.
you get that free food. It's all you ever eat. I'd get off and I'd go to another fast food restaurant. So I originally decided that I was only going to go vegan for a short time, actually just to cleanse myself. So I knew the environmental aspect, and I was like, I don't really want to do a diet or anything crazy like that would be harsh on my body. So I'm just going to go plant-based for a while. I'm going to let my body kind of get rid of a lot of toxins and all of that. And then my plan was to go straight back to eating whatever I was eating before. And as I was doing it, I really noticed the health changes that I was having that I thought they were kind of exaggerated before, to be honest. I didn't know that the energy levels will go up. I didn't know that feeling sluggish all the time wasn't a normal thing. And so as I started noticing that, I kept being like, okay, I'm going to go a little bit longer. Okay, I want to go 6 months. Okay, let me hit a year. And then I have gone back to trying to vegetarian for a little bit. I've tried all the things that I remember being so delicious in my head and realizing they're just not that good. They're way better in my head. And so I'd go back to being vegan. And 10 years later, here I am. I'm still doing it. I've started learning more about not only the impacts of the environment, but really what the animals go through in the industry. And I'm not even talking about just factory farming, which is horrific in itself, but standard industry practices among every kind of agricultural industry. They're really horrific. The age of the animals when they're slaughtered is way younger than most people realize. The mutilation these animals have to go through, that when they're babies without any anesthetic, without any medicine, without the proper vet care, is really horrific. And as well as just the environment that they're raised in, the labels that you see that kind of put your mind at ease that it's a little bit organic or free range. And I realized how those were just labels and they didn't actually mean anything. So once I've learned that, it was solidified. I can never change my ways.
Yeah, those labels definitely, like the organic and the free range and all that sort of stuff. It makes the consumer feel good, but it does nothing for the individuals. And I almost look at it as more of a disservice. If you have a happy, healthy, thriving animal in their prime of their life, you know what I mean, that's been treated so well, versus an animal that's been abused and tortured for so long, it's almost more of a disservice to take the life of that happy, healthy animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to say that they lived a happy, healthy life is even worse. It's more of an atrocity. If I had a dog, that lived a happy, healthy life and he's perfectly healthy, you wouldn't want to kill that dog.
Oh, absolutely.
Nobody would want to kill that dog.
Yeah.
But there was a dog that was suffering and, the vet says put him down. You might make that decision to put him down.
Yeah.
But we're not in those situations.
Yeah.
You're right. These are babies. These are babies in the prime of their life, just ready to experience life. And it's like, okay, life is over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't even get a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So now I'd like to transition more into what are some of the things that it takes to run this farm, and what are some of the things that maybe you feel like you're making an impact, for the animals, beyond your farm, or maybe farm included.
Yeah. But running a sanctuary like this is not an easy task. I mean, it's something that your days off are gone, your vacations are non-existent. Your happy time is the hot shower and the peace and quiet you get every 15 minutes after you put all the animals to bed. But it really is something that's 24/7. When I'm not out here physically scooping poop or taking care of animals or trimming hooves, inside trying to do social media work, we're inside trying to figure out if we're able to take an animal, if we're feasibly financially there. We're trying to build our volunteer base. We're stressing about the animals, wondering why one might be acting weird. And it's really something that's 24/7 work. So it's not an easy task, but it's something that is so rewarding and so worth it that makes it a little bit easier just to get up every day at sunrise, to go out when it's freezing or it's raining or it's really hot and get the work done. So it is something that takes up your entire life. So you have to be ready for it. But I've never, ever once regretted it. And I know that I'm not going to in the future just because of what it gives us. And so our biggest things are trying to build our volunteer base so we can get some help, as well as raise our donation based, because we're never able to take any animals unless we have the financial means and the physical means to do that. We're not a rescue that takes animals and then tries to figure out money and ways to support them afterwards. We have to have that base first so we can say yes to the animals that we get calls for, because we do get about 3 to 4 calls a week to take animals. And it's really overwhelming to have to say no to some of those, because you know what kind of conditions that they could end up in, but we have to have the support to be able to say yes and save them more lives.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that I think is really interesting is when you are looking for people to help, you know what I mean? And you're looking for those volunteers, you know, how do you go about finding volunteers, and how can maybe the people listening help with volunteering?
Yeah, if anybody's interested to volunteer, you go to our website, farmanimalrefuge.org. You go to the volunteer page, you fill out the form. The only requirements is we do ask a 2-time-a-month commitment. So being that we're not close to San Diego, we're about 45 minutes, an hour, depending on where you live in San Diego, it is a little bit of a commitment. But to give the animals stability and to have people comfortable around them, we do ask that people do come multiple times. And if you wanted to do 1 or 2, there are special events and things that you can sign up for as well. And if you wanted to come out and visit the animals, we do tours all the time. Once a month, the second Sunday of every month, we have our public tours. You can go online and do that. And then you can also book private tours as well. And so our volunteers are all really amazing. I don't think you're going to sign up to do anything like this unless you're a really compassionate, caring person in general. And then we have volunteers that have been with us for years. They come out here every single week. They pick up poop every day. They're soaking the turkey feet. They're giving Fred's walks. They're rehabilitating animals. They're getting dirty. They're just getting in it. And we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, my first experience here on the farm was setting up a pen right over here. We poured some concrete in it. You know, we cleaned up a lot of the pens. We took care of the chickens and the pigs, and it was just a great experience. You know, I recommend everyone at least do this once. You know, if you could do it twice a month, even better. You know, if you're looking out there for something to do and somewhere to help and a way to give back, these sanctuaries are a lot of work, and they take so much time and so much energy, and you get to maybe meet quite a few friends. I mean, I took some amazing pictures and shared a lot, and people really love it. They really enjoy it, and I think that it's so great to be able to see the animals in person and not just have like a picture from a package.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And you look at that package and it's like an animal on a happy farm, you know, and you just realize that that's not quite how they really live. But when you look at how they could live and how life could be, and you can see their mood and their temperament and the joyfulness, and you compare them to a dog or a cat, absolutely, because that's what we know. Those are the animals that we grow up with, and they seem to love it. They seem to love it.
Oh, absolutely. All animals want to live. All animals want to love. All animals want their family, and all animals want to feel safe and loved. And so if you treat them like that, they're all going to act the same. I think it's just our perception that changes and can really make a difference in these animals' lives.
What do you find is the biggest challenge of running one of these? Maybe there's people out there, I hear all the time, someone's like, I want to open a sanctuary. I want to run my own sanctuary. You probably hear that all the time, more than me having one, right? What challenges do you go through, and what do you tell people?
I think it's just the day in, day out kind of challenges. Like I was saying, you never get a day off. You don't get vacations. You have to really be ready for that. These animals are going to live a long, happy life. And so you have to be ready to take care of them every single day. You're not feeling well. There's still poop to be picked up. You want to go to town and get some food, but an animal's acting off. You're staying home and doing that. There's no cruises. There's no going out with friends. You know, you don't get a party or do anything like that anymore, because that's going to make you feel worse later on, and it's not fair to the animals to do that. So I don't think people also always realize that how all day, every day doing a sanctuary is. If you want to do one part-time, volunteering is a really great way to start. You can come out as many times as you'd like, and you can come out multiple times a week if you'd like. But I don't think people realize how the 24/7 really affects you. Even when the animals are in bed, you're still stressing about it. We're doing a lot of research because what we're doing is so unique. There's not just a simple Google search or call to a vet to figure out a lot of things. It's a lot of roaming through farm pages and kind of siphoning through a lot of information that may not be relevant to get that one little tidbit of information that we need for that specific case, because of what we do and how long we keep these animals alive, and the fact that we treat a lot of the illnesses instead of just slaughtering them like most of them do in the industry. That is 24 hours work. So when the animals go to bed, you're not going to bed. You still got a lot of work to do. Running social media is a big thing right now. You have to post multiple times a day. You have to be funny. You have to do your Patreon. You have to do thank you cards. You have to do just calls and information and research all the time. So I think the never getting a day off, you really have to accept beforehand, because once you take animals, they're going to be there for 20 years. So you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, and we were even talking about the social media a little bit before, and how much work it is to go into the social media. Who's doing your social media now, and how much time do you feel like you put into that?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 people running our social media right now. So me and Jordan post as often as we can, and her parents are amazing help as well. So her mom comes out here, she takes pictures every single week, and she's posting. She pretty much runs our Patreon page for most of it, and then she really helps out with our Instagram. She throws things on her stories. Jordan, we kind of delegate. Jordan takes care of a lot of the messages, and then I'm posting as much as I can. But you have to have a good picture. You want to make sure the animals look really good, and then you got to come up with your funny little quote and your hashtags. So that could be really full-time jobs. So you actually have 3 people helping out with our social media right now. And this is all volunteer based. So none of us take a salary. None of us take any money off of the farm. We actually, both me and Jordan actually work in town. So we drive over an hour each way to work every single day to help pay for the property and take care of the animals. And so nobody's getting paid for any of this. So it's all something that we do out of our love for the animals and our goal and our mission. And so asking people to do these social media things and having her mom take so much time out of her life is so overwhelmingly generous of her to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So are you doing just Instagram or obviously Facebook? What else are you doing?
Yeah, so we have Instagram. We share that on Facebook as well. Our Patreon is our monthly sponsorship program. So you can go on to Patreon and sign up for any amount. And then you get a lot of behind the scenes kind of information. You find out about all the new rescues first. And it's basically a whole nother social media platform.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for social media. Of course, we'd like to do Twitter. We would like to do Snapchat. We would like to do YouTube a little bit more. But when push comes to the shove, we have only so many hours in the day. Like I was saying, we have all these other things to do. So really, Facebook and Instagram are our 2 main platforms.
Yeah, that's interesting. I find it challenging when you do multiple platforms,
Yeah.
right? Like for me personally, I'm doing many platforms, like this podcast itself will be like on Instagram, on Facebook, hopefully on Twitter as well, YouTube, but also on the new one, TikTok. You've seen that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine trying to do another one like that too.
Yeah, and that one's so fascinating because it's so short, so it's so fast. So it's like, here's a 6-second video.
Yeah.
Like I seen a page, it's literally a pig page about one pig, you know what I mean? That has like millions of views, you know what I mean? For that pig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You probably seen like Esther the Wonder Pig.
Oh yeah,
right?
of course, definitely.
And that's an anomaly, right? But like the TikTok is like so new and so fresh so that like there's so many users and not enough content. It's kind of a really interesting scenario. So for example, you might have something, let's say you post something on Instagram and it gets 100 views. Right, you're like, cool. Maybe that's great. Maybe that's not. You do that same one, or modified slightly for the platform.
Yeah.
On TikTok, and that might have 500,000 views.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of crazy, right? So I find that one interesting, in itself, and it's so new. It's kind of like when Facebook first came out. It's like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Right? But then it eventually exploded, right? This one's kind of like in the explosive stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it'll be another one like Snapchat. Or it'll be another one. Like there'll always be another one. It's
always
that
evolving.
age range. So it's always evolving. So I find it interesting with the social media is how do you get onto those platforms early enough? The challenge is always the time and the constraint and that sort of stuff. And you are strapped with that. But it's also an interesting thing that you utilize that time, and now you're opening to a different audience that you didn't have before.
Absolutely.
So there's like that, almost like that catch-22. It's like there are people that are just using TikTok that don't even know anything about. They don't even use Instagram.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And that is potentially missed. And that's always an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, we're always trying to get our message out there. I mean, not everyone can come visit and give them physical hugs and physical kisses and stuff like that. So our social media is a way for people to feel connected and to actually meet these animals, and then hopefully change their diet because they fall in love with them, or they really like this kind of animal and decide to stop eating it and leave it off their plate. And you have to do that through social media, but you have to also have quality content. You have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it entertaining to really get those algorithms up. There's a whole bunch of different things that you have to do just to make your content seen. And so we really try to show the animals' personalities through all of that content and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's a huge job. It's amazing what you're doing. So what do you think about expanding potentially into your social media? Have you looked into have people approached you like, hey, I want to help you with your YouTube, or hey, I want to help you with this? Has that happened?
A little bit. I mean, it's so hard because you still have to manage it at the same time. We're still have to get the content and all of that, as well as we provide a really specific message. We want to make sure that we're telling the truth and we're giving the stories how they are, and we're kind of sticking to a certain kind of theme that we have all the time. So to kind of translate that to somebody else is also really difficult as well. And so it's really hard to get people to represent us publicly when we want to kind of have our specific message that we have. And we're really non-confrontational. We're really welcoming to all walks of life and everybody to come out here and to follow our social media. We're really open to questions that some people might not be as friendly answering as we are. And so we have a very specific way of doing things, and I think it's really important to do that, to be able to provide the amount of people that we do, and the all walks of life and the variety that we have.
Yeah. Are there any other sanctuaries that maybe you look up to? You're like, man, I love what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they do such a great job. I love what they're sharing and how they connect with their community and what they're doing for the animals.
Yeah, there's some larger ones. This one is based off of a farm sanctuary up in LA, as well as Gentle Barn. Both of those have been around for a really long time, and they were really the catalyst for us starting this, because we saw what they did and how they did it. And of course, we do things our own way as well. We have our different ways of doing it, because we all run our sanctuaries uniquely and how we see best fit. But those are really the ones that we look up to the most.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me the story about your tattoos.
The puzzle pieces actually started as my friends and my family's name. So as I became close to people, or they would impact my life in a certain way, I'd put that person's name into it. Being that I run this, I don't really socialize with a lot of people anymore, except for at work. And these animals are completely what they are in my life. So now the puzzle pieces are all of the animals that I've saved names. We have over 80 animals here, almost 80 animals here. And so I got them as puzzle pieces because they all are really important to me, and I want to represent them and carry them with me all the time.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
I love that. So is there anything else that maybe you want to share that maybe you didn't share already that you really want everyone, the audience, to hear? Or is there something that maybe we shared already that you really want to reiterate that's just so important?
Yeah, I would say that going to a farm sanctuary is going to be really powerful. We're not the only ones out there. So wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening right now, there's probably one pretty close to you. So it's always a really good time just to go there, no matter how you feel about veganism or plant-based or anything like that. Just open your heart, go out to them, and then really look around at the world. You really educate yourself, because ignoring all of the facts is incredibly convenient, and it's easy to do that. And we all do that every day for multiple reasons. And so it's really on us to educate yourself and realize that these animals are no different than some of the ones we consider we love, but we're just in America. So here we've decided that this one's okay to eat, this one's not okay to eat. And you got to realize, like, why do you think that? And going to any kind of farm sanctuary and learning about them is really important, as well as educating yourself, because the information is not just going to come to you. Like I said, it's really easy to ignore itself. So you have to take it upon yourself to do it. You got to watch some uncomfortable videos if that's what it takes. But choosing ignorance is not going to save anybody. It's not going to help anything, and it's just going to be detrimental to you, to the environment, and to these animals every single day. And when you start your plant-based journey, it can seem very overwhelming. Different kinds of meat, especially dairy, is a very addicting product. And so your body is purging those hormones. Your body is getting rid of something that you've put into it 3 times a day for your entire life. So you're not going to always feel the best. It's going to feel kind of uncomfortable. And as well as you're relearning a habit, you're relearning something that's so ingrained that you've done every single day. It's going to be difficult. It's not the end of the world. You're going to go over your hump. You're going to come out the other side. It's going to be bright and sunny, and it's going to be just as easy as it was before. So just because you tried a little bit and you didn't go very well, just keep on trying. Start eliminating small things at a time. Dairy is the one that I suggest people eliminate first if possible, and try different products, because you're not going to always find something that you like the first time. So don't take that vegan cheese as all the cheeses out there. There's different brands, there's different things that you like, and you only know what you like before because you've tried things in the past, you didn't like it, so you buy this brand instead. And that goes with all plant-based products. So really just keep striving, keep taking off a little bit at a time if that's what it takes, and then eventually it'll be just as easy as it was before.
Yeah, and even sometimes I even say making it at home. You find out that making maybe a vegan cheese recipe is so simple, and it's so easy that you could just make it at home, and it tastes amazing.
Cashew sour cream, my new favorite thing. It goes on pretty much everything that I make now. And it's so easy, 4 ingredients and you're done. It's one of the best things I've ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, where can people find you? I know you shared a little bit, but is there anywhere else that people could find you? Share all the places people could reach out to you and help.
Yeah, so on Instagram and Facebook, we're just at Farm Animal Refuge. That's REFUGE. And then our website is www.farmanimalrefuge.org. And you can find us on there as well.
All right, that's excellent. How about the Patreon?
Patreon is going to be Farm Animal Refuge. We have it right in our Instagram bio. So if you go and you click on that, but if you go to patreon.com/farmanimalrefuge, or if you want to make a one-time donation, paypal.com/farmanimalrefuge, you can do that as well.
Yeah, and something on Patreon that I think is very important is people that are out there that are really doing good in the world, or really putting out an amazing message, or really sharing. They need that support from Patreon. Like, I don't think people realize, not only in your situation from a huge financial situation, but there's other people in financial situations as well that maybe need that additional help with it when it comes to the Patreon. And I know that there's activists out there, and they really need that assistance in that Patreon. If there's someone that you really like, you love their work, and you want them to continue doing that, the best way you can help someone is sometimes their Patreon account. Including a farm animal sanctuary that you guys love. And I like that you bring that up, because I don't think that's a very common thought when it comes to Patreon, at least not for me. I don't think, oh, what's the Patreon for that animal sanctuary? Yeah. But I do think, like, what's the Patreon from that individual person? Yeah. Because they ask for it. Oh, yeah. And I see them asking for it. So it just is a really important thing.
Yeah, Patreon's awesome, because if you don't know what it is, it's a monthly sponsorship program. So you can sign up for any dollar amount you want. And depending on different accounts, like sometimes if you donate more, you get more content. But with ours, if you donate even $1 a month, you're going to get all the content that we put on there. And it's really important for us to know that number that we're getting every month, because it helps us plan just that far in ahead. So we can only expand as our support expands, and to know what number's coming at the end of the month, plus whatever random donations we get, really sets us up for success and helps us be able to say yes and save more lives.
That's so true. It's so important to know, like, what's coming in, so you can prepare. Hey, I have, these 10 animals that really need assistance. You know what? I don't know when I'm going to get money next. Yeah. That's a very tough spot to be in, because you want to help the animal, and then the money could be an issue. But if you know, hey, it's coming in. Oh, we got 2 more days. Yeah, we got this. Yeah. We could handle this, because we know what to expect. That's a really good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Matt. It's been beautiful with your farm being here, and I really appreciate you having us. I can't wait for everyone to see this and listen to this. You guys will get a chance to hear this on everywhere. Podcasts are available, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, all the major ones, as well as it'll be on YouTube. So anyone on Instagram watching, you got YouTube. You'll be able to see this video on YouTube, and I'm going to make short clips. It'll be on Instagram and Facebook, and maybe even TikTok.
Yeah, right? we appreciate you coming
I do have videos of your animals on my TikTok, and everyone loved it, especially Freddie.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you can't support us financially or come out, just click that like, share, or comment button to get our content out there and introduce us to more people. Is always going to impact. You don't realize how the impact that you can have on the most random person through your social media just by sharing that information. So make sure you click those buttons, and it'll help us just as much as financially.
Yeah, that one share might lead to $1,000 donation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? From someone that didn't know about you.
Or someone going plant-based, which is going to save 200 animals a year. I mean, one person going plant-based saves 200 animals. That's more than we're ever going to be able to take on this property. So our biggest goal is to get people to change their perceptions and make that choice for themselves.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. We'll be seeing you soon.
Excellent.
Awesome.
You.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Please, please, please make sure that you guys share this with anyone that you think will find this interesting, and also make sure that you guys are subscribed, because I can see a lot of you guys are listening, but you aren't subscribed. So please subscribe, and also don't forget to go to my website where you can leave comments and see more content at veganluna.com.